Coast architect who studied under Louis Kahn at Yale. And like Kahn, you can see a lot of affinity toward material detailing and structural expression and Kahn did. But growing up there was really great because you've got this wonderful exposure to nature. There isn't a room in the house that doesn't have these grand windows that open up onto the woods, and you're constantly aware of the seasons and the time of day and so forth. But 20 years ago, I moved to San Francisco, and since then I've been living in houses a lot like this, with layers of historical references, but built at a time when nature was really something to be, it was still something to take refuge from, or explore and take refuge from. But it was certainly embodied an era when people had a strong affinity toward their history. They felt of themselves as being in a long historical continuum, which was lost after all the catastrophic events of the 20th century. So I don't know if these houses have influenced the way that I design now, but those are the two recurring themes that I find myself discovering in my own work when I look back at it. More of an emphasis on bringing nature in and recognizing our place within the continuum of history. And that's probably embodied best by a piece of furniture I'll just touch on for a moment and then go to two quick projects. This is a table leg I designed that's modeled after the 18th century cabriole. The idea, of course, was to have a table leg that could just clamp itself onto any flat surface. And to do that, I just take I've got a perfing technique that I employed in the material, this bamboo. I experimented with a bunch of different curves to get something that didn't stress the outer fibers too much. I combined that with a handful of stainless steel where I had built up by a local shop to get with this kind of self-claiming mechanism that the table legs are based on. But the underlying theme of the project to me is more interesting, and that is it brings up the question, what is technology's relationship with history? Is technology and nature for that matter, is technology is it a new improvement over nature, or is it a soulless imitation of the nature that it's displayed? That's rather great. On a happier note, I am actually optimistic about the potential of technology to address our situation today. Toward that, and this is a modern picture we put in the back of a Victorian home in Mission. The nice thing about this place was that all the original trim and moldings and so forth were in good condition. We wanted to play off of those, but we didn't want to create one of these kind of sterilely antiseptic kitchens you see in magazines a lot today. We wanted something that really had more to do with the vitality of the produce and cooking that went on in this space. So we have places where the historic elements stand back and the modern pass through, and places where the modern stands back and that's the historic stand on its own. And even within the modern elements themselves, this rigid structure of shelves here has places where it's relieved by a favorite vase and fruit scale. The ironic thing is that to have shelves and cabinetry that are set lately on the wall is an invasive process. So this takes maybe 3 times the block that a normal kitchen cabinet system would require. Same thing in the ceiling here. We've got blocks into which the shelves over the island are suspended. That's what this is. It's rather dry coming down and then sheet into this stainless steel tubing. This is an abstraction of a crown molding that's kind of nod at the historic surroundings as well as being something that disguises the structure on the top of the shelves. Another thing that's a really nice touchstone in terms of the history of the place is that these shelves were made from the 2x4s that used to be in the wall that we took out between the kitchen and the dining room. The greenest practice that we did in here was to reuse materials that were already there on the site. And you can occasionally see a little nail hole that's a little reminder of some carpenter 125 years ago driving that board. That wall didn't have quite enough lumber, so we went down to San Leandro and picked up some used 2x6 rafters from an old lean-to, and that gave us enough to complete the shelves and the dining room table to seat 20. The nice thing about putting in a remodel in a house like that is that it's very easy to find elements to play off of, which is not always the case. This house was, there wasn't much of any worth to play off of inside, so we got to the entire inside. But in the early parts of the design, it came up that the one that we were used to sail, he had a 31-foot sweep with teak fittings and holly and real mix. So I started thinking of the design in terms of how a ship might approach a house design that would undertake such a thing. So there are a number of elements that incorporate that. The stair itself kind of turns in on itself, so the bottom tread is actually tucked under the top tread there to give this kind of compressed feeling as you're going down below deck. But what all that detailing doesn't really touch on is that great feeling when you're on a boat out in the bay with the sun coming down and the wind going through. There's a really wonderful feeling. And I wanted to get some sort of hint of that memory embodied in the house, so we wound up putting this row of skylights down the spine of the house. The trouble with skylights on a flat roof, though, most of those skylights, is that they let all the sun in the summertime is dumped into the house, and it cuts out in the sunlight. In the wintertime, we want more light. So I designed a series of reflectors to go above these skylights that channel the sun from the low end of the early sidewalk to bounce off the reflector and then down onto the wall below. The bottom edge of that reflector is 29 degrees. That's about at attention to the nice angle of the sun with the winter solstice. And it curves up to the point at the top where it's tangent to the sun at equinox. So as the sun later in the year comes up from in the summertime, comes straight down, that reflector turns into a shade, and we're blocking out over 50% of the light that would otherwise be coming into the house. Which makes this really dramatic shadows that sweep along that wall during the course of the day. And of course, also, this is something I've done on a couple of projects. At nighttime, we've got these lights, there's one perforated through each reflector, and they shine down into through the skylights. But the bulbs in these fixtures are MR16s. You see these things all over the place. They've got this really, really tight focus. And the nice thing about that is that when it comes through, that focus makes everything defined, and you can even get shadows from raindrops. And so when the light comes through here at nighttime in the winter when it rains, there are cascades of shadows and raindrops that come down the wall. It's a very enlivening way to bring nature into your space. So those are the two main things that I try to do when I use modernism as a tool to address our situation in this continuum of history, look at history as